What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It feels like ages since we've done a Palace News episode during the transfer window, but we are here for daily updates every evening around 9 to 10 p.m. UK time, especially during the weekdays. We'll be here giving you all the latest updates, and trust me, we're 2 days into the window and all the rumors are flying by. But as always, if you do want to see more content like this, hit the like button and also subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content. I'm joined by Stan here to talk about Hugo Ekitike, Nketiah as well. Reports suggesting that the club prefer one over another. Also, bids already potentially rejected for centre halves and more as well. We'll be discussing that throughout the show. But look, Stan, January transfer window. Before we actually talk about rumours and who is linked with Palace, who could potentially go out. What do you make of the January window? How important do you think it is for clubs, and how do you think that we should be approaching this window?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I think it's always a difficult window, but I think clubs like us, in the situation that we are in, we should be approaching this window seriously. And if there are reinforcements available at the right price, we should be going after them.
Yeah. In terms of positions now, let's quickly talk about, and let's link this to the first report of the day, which came from the Evening Standard's Don Smith, who said the Eagles, in terms of who Palace are linked with, are prioritizing a fullback and a midfielder in January after injuries to captain Joe Ward and central midfielder Cheick Doucouré left them in light in both positions. Then again, there's conflicting reports on this, so I'm going to touch on that again. But he goes on following that loan deals are more than likely than permanent signings. Securing a left winger is also on Palace's radar for the long term. So hearing that, Stan, a midfielder, which makes sense with Cheick Doucouré's injury. The Joe Wood one, I don't really think that is true, because I've been hearing that we're targeting a left back rather than a right back, and Joe Wood is not left back. But winger, midfielder, fullback, should that be the areas that we should be targeting in this window?
Yeah, for sure. At a minimum, 3 players. I think you can only have 2 loans though, right? So, we will. If we get anyone, it will be 2 out of the 3. But we do need a left winger. Even though when Ayew plays there, he does a decent enough job. But he's gone for AFCON for a couple of weeks now. We do need a centre mid. No, Chris Richards is doing a good job, but we do miss Doucouré. He is a very, very crucial player for us. I don't know who we have been linked with to try and replace him, but I suppose we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. And I'll be honest, when I'm seeing left back, like you've got Mitchell, who's decent, and he's a very sort of 6-7 out of 10 solid Premier League player every single week. I think he's great. And then you've probably got Gyro can play there as well. But right back, you've got
that's where it gets a bit confusing with fullbacks, and I think that's why we should land on this, because you was going to say right back, and I know where we're going towards. We got Nathaniel Klein and Joe Ward. We got 2 right backs already there.
Yeah,
but I've said this all along, and I'm tired. I am genuinely tired. There's another window, and I know I'm going to be tired talking about fullbacks. And I'm not talking about left back, I'm talking about right back. For me, the right backs that we have, they're not what we should be having in terms of Premier League quality. Then again, I haven't got a source, so this is not 100% credible. But I did see something earlier on today on Twitter that Roy Hodgson doesn't want another right back. I don't know if it's a PR spins and maybe why we're not going for another right back. For me, if we were to pick the fullback position, I think right back should still be targeted despite having 2 right backs there, because I just don't think they're good enough for the Premier League in terms of what we want to achieve as well.
I agree. I think Klein's been all right the past couple of weeks, but can he sustain it over a long period of time? I don't know. But I think you've got Mitchell, who can play the overlapping fullback role down the left, and on the right, I mean, you've got the 2 of them. At the age that they're at, they're obviously got a bit of a snail pace about them. So yeah, I think we definitely need one. I think that we've been trying to sign Sacha Bowie in the past, and we've been linked with a couple of others. I mean, one that I would look at that we should probably break the bank on, Matty Cash from Villa. He's sort of on the periphery of that squad. He'd be brilliant for us. But yeah, I just I'm like you, mate. I'm sort of bored of talking about right backs. It seems that,
Seems like we always avoid it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me why we always keep avoiding improving the right back position. We replace Aaron Wan-Bissaka with Joe Ward. Like, that's where we're at, and Nathaniel Klein, and here we are. Mukhtar makes a sorry, Sandy, you want to say something?
So I was saying, I was reading that United exercised an option last year on Wan-Bissaka, so this is it for him, and he's not signing a new deal by the looks of it. I think what Parish is hoping is that Wan-Bissaka comes back to him on a free.
Do you think that will happen though?
No.
I think it's very hopeful. I don't think it will. Well, he won't come back on a free in January. I'll say that.
No.
And foreign clubs might go after him and get him to sign a pre-contract in this window. If he's got 6 months left and he's still Wan-Bissaka, there is that risk of him getting poached. So if we really want Wan-Bissaka for the best deal that we can have, this is the window. But then again, the report from Don Smith, the Evening Standard, is suggesting that, you know, we're looking at more loan signings rather than permanent signings. And that means we're looking at two positions. Maybe 2 loans and 1 permanent signing could still make it work. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I'm not expecting a lot of business from Palace, but of course, I'm sure the club will be exploring their options. And I just don't want it to go down to deadline day. I'm tired of that excuse. Like, we've got a whole window. We've even before the window opened, we've had the time from the summer window till now to look at positions and prioritize them. And we just have to get the business done. Then again, Stan, if it was to go to deadline day, would that be the worst thing in the world? Because we haven't got that many games in January. We've got 3 games. We've got the Everton game on Thursday. And then afterwards, we've got Arsenal on January 20th. And then we've got Sheffield United, I think, on deadline day or right before deadline day. Do you think there should still be that urgency to sign players? Or is it a case of waiting last minute and seeing if there are better deals available?
I think that we should use this 2.5, 3 week period that we have to get them in and to embed them in the squad and have them ready for Arsenal. In my opinion, we won't do that because we know how this club operates. And it will be a scramble and 1, maybe 2 players on deadline day. That's my prediction.
All right, let's start off now with the Palace news reports. Now that we spoke about what we want, what we're expecting, the first rumor is coming from Rudy Galletti, who's got, I believe, near enough 100,000 followers on Twitter, or even more than that. And he said the following: that West Ham are looking for a new striker in January, and Hugo Ekitike is still on the list. PSG are open to let the striker go. Crystal Palace, who prefer Nketiah anyway, asked for information as well. Now, Stan, what do you make of that? Hugo Ekitike, who was linked with us in the summer window, but it seems like the club prefer Nketiah over him. Does that make sense for you? And how do you feel about that report?
I don't think it makes much sense at all, because why all of a sudden a player that we were desperate to get in August, September went down to the last second and we nearly had him and we're going to spend 30 million quid on him, or I don't know if it was a loan or whatever. Are we all of a sudden like, no, we don't want him and we want to go and spend 40 or 50 million on Nketiah, which is what it's going to cost him? I'll be honest, Nketiah for me, it's not a signing that excites me. He has less goals than Edouard this season, in a team that creates a lot of chances. So going out and spending 40 to 50 million on him will be a complete waste of time and resources, in my opinion.
And also, let's be real. Are we going to spend that kind of money on Nketiah? Look, Arsenal might be happy with him for him to go because they need to raise funds. I think they've got their own FFP potential issues. I've seen that they might need to sell before they can buy. But then again, they're not going to sell him for cheap. So we might prefer Nketiah, but who is more likely to join us? I think, look, Ekitike, PSG don't want him. So there's a big opportunity there. Nketiah maybe also might not want him, but he's going to come at a premium. And I don't know if he's worth that premium. Let us know in the live comment section and in the comment section down below if you're watching it on replay. That, you know, Nketiah at most, in today's market, maybe 20 million. I'll
15,
spend on
20 mil?
Yeah, 15, 20 mil. Maybe he's worth the risk for that much. But anything above that, I don't know what he's really shown. But then again, Nketiah's been linked with us before he even signed a new deal at Arsenal. So Doug Friedman has been a fan of his. Do you think it's a case of him having Premier League experience is why we would prefer him over Ekitike, who hasn't really had much game time since the summer?
It's baffling, really, because you can see that there is some sort of player in there, but he's had season after season. How old is he now, Nketiah? Is he?
He's not old. He's 23.
Yeah, he's 23, but he has had.
Let me just double
let's
check.
say he's had 2 years in that Arsenal team, and he hasn't done it for him at that level. I mean, what makes you think that he's going to come to Palace and all of a sudden start banging the goals in? Is he? I think his game is similar to Edouard. He runs the channels, he can get in behind, etc., etc. But like I said, in a team that creates untold chances from, even from the wing, Saka, Martinelli, he hasn't done it, right? He's got 5 goals all season. And then from what I've heard, he's on astronomical money, like astronomical money.
Yeah, for a striker, that doesn't really produce much. So based on everything that we're saying so far, it doesn't make... Yes, we might prefer Nketiah, but does Nketiah really want to come to Palace? Can Palace afford him? Can we afford his wages? Can we afford his fee? I just don't know. But then again, West Ham won Ekitike, and let's say this, Stan. If we were to not bring in another striker in the January window, would you be upset, or would you still be fine with the options that we have right now, considering that Nketiah has had a little upturn in form as of recently, since Edouard's been out injured?
I think the 2 that we have are sufficient now. I think we've, there's other areas that we need to look at strengthening before we strengthen up top. Personally, I mean, unless he's going to bring in Nketiah, pay him $100,000 a week, and play him on the left wing. I mean, yeah, that'd
be silly though. Like, why would exactly?
Would you put it past this club to do that?
Yeah, well, look, we have been a fan of Nketiah. Let's just say that we have. The people behind the clubs have been a fan of Nketiah. But maybe I don't know if you've seen that report about Steve Parish having to watch videos, and he kind of has like the final say in the transfer. And what do you actually quickly? It's a bit off tangent, but what do you make of the report from I think it was the Athletic that Steve Parish has to watch the videos for players that we're looking to sign and potentially say like a yes or no? Me personally, look, I think the head scout Doug Friedman, they should have the say, and Steve Parish should have the power. I get it. Should give them the power. It's massive. These players cost millions for the club. I get it to a certain extent, but then again, I don't know. I personally, I didn't expect Steve Parish to be having them, scouting analysis tools by just watching the videos and saying yes or no to players.
Well, I told you my opinion on it beforehand, but we won't go that far into it. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, all right, he's a chairman of a Premier League football club. He has been for 10 years, but what does he know about players? Like, what level has he played or coached the game to be, like assessing players on video clips? Yes or no, can do that. Like seriously. I mean, it's unbelievable that he's even doing that. What's he doing? Like sitting at home putting a VHS in his TV and just like scrolling back the remote and stuff. I mean, yeah.
But do you understand why he's doing that as well? Because of course he's spending millions on these players, also paying massive amount of wages.
No, I don't understand why he is doing that, because because what you normally do is you employ people to get it right. And he has Dougie Friedman, who is wanted by Man United, if the rumours are to be believed. And Dougie Friedman has got to, how can you say it? Has got to, get everything signed off, and Parish has got to watch a video before it happens. I mean, come on, ridiculous. Yeah,
it is funny. I'll be honest. It was a bit off tangent. I was not expecting to talk about it, but it just came to my head today. But look, let's move on to the next report. And apparently, we have a bid rejected already. I don't know exactly when it was rejected, but according to TalkSport, Crystal Palace have had multiple bids for sought after Peterborough centre-back Ronnie Edwards turned down by the League One club. It is anticipated that Peterborough won around £10 million, including add-ons, which was the same figure that Brentford paid for Ivan Toney. Look, Ronnie Edwards, he's been mentioned on the channel a few times back in summer. I think even before the summer window, he's clearly liked by the people at the club. Maybe Steve Parish has liked what he's seen from the clips. But
to watch the highlight reel, yeah.
Yeah, he's like the YouTube compilation videos. But what we thinking about Ronnie Edwards, £10 million according to Talksport being turned down? £10 million for centre half. Is this a backup plan to Gahey and Anderson potentially leaving in the summer? Is that why we're looking at defenders, especially Ronnie Edwards?
So I'm hearing that he's been earmarked by the club as Gahey's potential replacement, or Anderson, whichever leaves. Listen, I haven't seen much of him. I don't watch League One. I don't watch an insane amount of football at all. Actually, I don't have the time. I watch Palace, and that's probably about it. 10 mil out of League One. He's obviously very highly rated. I think he's played through every level for England.
So he's England under 20 international right now.
England under 20 international. I think 10 mil. What's 10 mil in today's market? I think it's, what's it called? I think if you really,
for us, isn't that a bit significant though? That's the thing. What's 10 mil in today's market? But then in the window, according to the earlier report, that we're not really looking to make any permanent signings.
Yeah.
If we were to make a permanent signing, that would be significant probably for us, and I think we've got other positions to prioritize.
If it happens, I don't think it's one that's happened in this window, to be honest with you. If another club goes and gets him, fair enough. But I think if it happens, it's happening in the summer.
Yeah, and I think it does make sense for it to happen in summer. Like that, you would know what's happening with Gahey and Anderson because, clubs will be after them, of course. I'm expecting that. But then again, there's also what people tend to say, and let us know if you're one of them in the chat, is that we need to bring in these players before Anderson and Gahey leave. So we know what they're like. We know what to expect from them. And we're ready to sell Anderson and Gahey. And, as soon as they're sold, we already know that we have a backup option. Do you understand that sentiment as well? That maybe we should bring in these players before we even sell one of our star players so we know what to expect from them?
Yeah, for sure. I think we originally bid around 2.5 million for him 2 years ago. And that's
I wonder how much it is now, because reports suggesting from Talksport that they're looking at £10 million what they want from him, but it doesn't actually say. It says multiple bids from Palace turned down, but it doesn't say exactly how much we bidded for him, which I don't expect. I don't know. This is a total guess, but if it's 2.5 million, maybe 5 million or something along them regions, maybe we're testing the waters like that. But that's just going to get rejected. That's half of what they want.
The Peterborough owner, Darragh McAntony, is very well known for selling players at good prices. Good players as well. Like if you look at who's come through there, Dwight Gale, Ivan Toney, the McLean brothers, there's been some players that have gone out there. So it wouldn't surprise me that he's looking to get big money.
Yeah, 100%. Now, let's move on to the next report. This is from the Standard Sport that Andre Santos is set to return to Chelsea this week after disappointing loan spell at Nottingham Forest. Crystal Palace and a host of championship clubs are interested in the one-time Brazilian international, but the Blues are not in a rush to jump into another loan move. As I mentioned, that's from the Standard Sport today. Andre Santos, he was at Forest. He didn't get many opportunities there. I don't know exactly why, but of course Steve Cooper's now left as well, so I guess they want to have a different approach. He's clearly not liked by Nuno Espirito Santo to that level. Chelsea, we've done business with them before, loan move, but he doesn't really have that experience in the Premier League. It didn't work out for him in Forest. I don't know if you've seen much of Andre Santos. As I said, it's a bit hard to know much about a player that hasn't really played any proper Premier League football. I think he played for Chelsea during the pre-season, which was maybe one of the reasons why Forest actually wanted him. But he's a midfielder that is still relatively young, 19 years old, only has one Premier League match this season for Forest. He joined Chelsea in 2023, so fairly new for Chelsea. And he's actually had 0 appearances for Chelsea as well. 1 appearance for Brazil. But look, he's a defensive midfielder. Does that make sense to you? Because you mentioned about defensive midfielders and potentially Doucouré replacement. The problem is, Stan, it's very hard to judge a player that hasn't played that many games. Even in his professional career, he's only played 37 appearances, and that was back home in Brazil.
Yeah.
That's all he has. And then he's got, I think, 10 games, 47 in total. Because, he's got 10 games for them out on loan after Chelsea bought him. And then 1 for Forest, so 48. It's a bit hard, isn't it, to talk about a player that you haven't really experienced. But I guess Palace are probably looking at his time over in Brazil rather than Premier League because there's only one game over here.
I mean, I watched him all 37 times for Vasco da Gama. No, I didn't. You know what? I don't think there's any truth in it because I think in that position we need some real experience. Like we do need some. Like we've lost Doucouré, who is an absolute stalwart in that position, right? You're going to bring him in. He's 19 years old. I don't think even if you bring him in, Roy will play him. It's a waste of time, to be honest with you. I think I don't think there's any truth in that rumor. That's like someone who's put 2 and 2 together and got 6. I don't think it's happening.
But then again, let's quickly talk about the defensive midfield position because I actually do want to quickly look into it in a bit more detail. Look, some people might not agree with me, but I just think that is there need to get a defensive midfielder? The reason why I'm saying this is Richards has done a relatively solid job. I know Doucouré is out till the end of the season pretty much. And then we've got David Ozo, who I would personally like for him to get more opportunities. And I think this is the perfect time. Now, if we get another defensive midfielder, that's basically saying to David Ozo, you're not going to be playing. That's not really, it's not going to happen for him. I just don't see him playing. Do you think we have to go for the experience or would you want the club to actually use the position that we have now? Because according to the report, that's what we want. But for me, I wouldn't mind it if we didn't actually focus on that position. Like, it's of course 4 or 5 months. There's a lot of games to be played, but I do think there are players available at the club that we can use during that time. Because especially a permanent signing for me wouldn't make any sense because Doucouré is going to come back, and then you know what's going to happen with the permanent signing and what's going to happen with Ozo. It raises more question marks. But even in the short term, I'm willing to take the risk by using David Ozo and Chris Richards rather than spending money and wages on another player out on loan for about 5 months. But what do you think?
I think if they were comfortably in mid-table, we'd be having a different conversation. But I think that given our position is still somewhat precarious, I think 6 points off the bottom. I think they do need to probably bring in someone with experience. I would personally much prefer that Ozo played. I would much prefer it. But I think that it's a risk that they can't take because if they end up having a bad second half to the season, I'm not saying Ozo's going to have shockers, but if he doesn't, grab the ball by the horns, hit the ground running straight away, everyone's going to be on the board's back and going, why didn't they bring in that centre mid on loan, etc., etc. So I can see what the reasoning behind it is given our position in the league.
Red saying Ozo needs to play. Tim saying I'll take loans with an option to buy. I would love to see some other spending for depth, especially at fullback. Richards is okay, but cannot play a ball forward. Fair enough comment from Ray. I think defensively is very good, but that might be his limitation. Then again, I think then you use Ozo, which I think can carry the ball forward. And we've seen him even when he has come on that Roy's told him to one forward, which he hasn't with Richards. Because Ozo can do it. Like it's time to utilize some of these academy players when we need them. Look at Brighton, for example. Of course, they're going to be strengthening their squad, but they have used some of these younger players, and it has paid them dividends. And some of these players are getting on score sheet. Their values are going up, and it's exactly what we want. We're talking about using some of these youth players, and that's what we want to do as a football club. Well, this is the perfect opportunity. If that's what we want to do, we have got injuries in that position. So how about we actually use these players and get the most out of them? Jamie's saying, I really don't get the hype with Nketiah. I don't rate him at all. I don't get why the club love him so much. We can do better. Red saying, wondering if they won't buy many as Roy is going. All right, Roy's going to be going at the end of the season. Fair enough. But we need to make recruitment decisions based on what we want. We can't just base on a manager because managers come and go. If let's say Steve Cooper was to come into the club and he said, let's spend £50 million on person A or £20 million on person A, but it doesn't really fit to the narrative of what we want. We should go with what we want because we've seen it at Man United. Look at Anthony. Ten Hag wanted him and they spent about £80 million.
Yeah, he's shocking.
Ten Hag was to leave, what's going to happen with Anthony?
He's still there.
Fitting profile. It's about buying players that fit into the club's profile. So yes, Roy is going to be going, but we still have our targets. We still know what we need to do as a football club. So I don't think that should be an excuse. The loan market is there that we can use, that we haven't used, and also maybe one permanent signing that could also work out as well. I don't think Roy going should change the fact that we need another striker, because we need another striker regardless of Roy. So, I'm done with the excuses now. I'm done, because every single time we can have excuses for why the club don't spend money, why the club does this and that. I just want us to get the business done, because a lot of talk has been said before the season about top 10 finish, this and that. But what we do in the transfer window, it doesn't add up to that talk. It's total opposite. We're not showing ambitions. So I'd rather see it.
They're absolutely not serious. They're not a serious club. They're not run by serious people. Oh, well, they're not run by a serious person for sure. Their transfer policy is not serious. All this top 10 rubbish. I mean, we need the players to do that, lads. So, what's it called? Maybe, how can you say it? Yeah, maybe get that right first, and maybe cut a piece out of the process. Maybe the watching of the videos. Maybe we should get rid of that and trust the judgment of our sporting director. I think. Listen, I think they will bring in a couple of loans. I don't think they're getting anyone in on a permanent unless there's a really good opportunity. Roy is, like you said, gone at the end of the season. He's leading the end of the season, and I think that they'll wait till the summer to do their so-called business. What they do in the summer, I don't know. But I mean, that being said, we need another Vieira summer window coming right up, really. And I think you'll probably see a departure or two from some of these really talented players that we have. And that will enable us to rebuild and spend again.
Yeah. And before the summer window, we need at least a half decent January window. I just don't want to go to deadline day and talk about, we missed out on this player because the deal was done too late. We've got from 2nd till the end of this month. If we really want a player, we go for them and we act serious for once. I don't want us to do what we've done in the summer window, what we've done in previous windows.
Nobody's acting serious.
In the last minute and saying, sorry, we missed out. Like that I'm tired of that. I'm tired of saying, sorry, we missed out, because it costs us and it's very frustrating. Just actually go for it. Get the business done early. Look, there are pros and cons to getting it done early versus later. But let's get it done early. I think that will give a bit more of confidence from the fan base to the board and people running the club as well. Because, we have left it late quite often. And sometimes, forget about late, we haven't done the business because we left it late. Now, if you get the business done early, it gives us that ease that, all right, we've got our right backs, or not right back, we're clearly not interested, but we've got our left back sorted if they want a left back, or another holding midfielder and a striker. Now we can relax. Now we can allow these players to bed in and look forward to the next game. I don't want us to go to Sheffield United game and think, hold up, do we need another striker still? With one day of the window to go, or on deadline day, these conversations should be finished. We should at least sign 1 or 2 players before then. We shouldn't leave all our eggs in our basket for a literal, the last few days of the window where it gets a bit more risky and deals can go left, right, centre. But yeah, I suspect that's what the club's going to do again, unless we change our ways. Mitch saying if we could get a loan to cover Decore's absence, that would be grand too. So Andre Santos has been rumoured, but I don't know if that will happen.
I don't think that's the player we're getting, personally.
Yeah. Seek saying I'd rather we go for it in the cup and finish 15th to 30th place. The opposition preview is out now, and also the match preview will be coming out tomorrow, where we talk about cup run versus league form. So make sure to check that out and like and subscribe this video as well if you haven't already done so. And Mitch also adds saying every club has to get business done early, but it doesn't always happen. Simplistic to think it's that simple. And no one's saying it's that simple, but it'll be good for us to make a change and actually try and get something.
Try and be proactive.
Yeah, look what happened in the summer window. I mean, we should learn from our mistakes as well. Seek saying because we're not going to finish top 10 about the cup run. But look, people, this is the first live Palace News episode of the January transfer window. Hopefully there'll be a bit more reports and rumors coming out. If you're just joining us now, make sure to check out the show from the start after this as soon as it ends. If you have enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That's it from me and Stan. And until next time, up the Palace.
Out the Palace.